everyone, and welcome to the third of four webinars in the webinar series that we created. We, for those of you who are the first, welcome. Those of you who attended the first one, which was around the residences and the More Family Collection Mac and Maddie Family Program. We then followed on to the guiding webinar around looking at our guiding culture. I had Rian Faree, who is our head guide, attending as a special guest. Today, this webinar, as you will know, is around impacts. By way of introduction, my name is Robert Moore. I am the Custodian and CEO of the More Family Collection. I am your co-host for today's webinar. A special guest who is joining me is Mr. Alan Rose on my left. Alan, welcome. Thank you for joining. Alan heads up the Impact Fund strategy, which I know sounds like quite a big corporate word, but for us, it's a very important part of our business. It's something we believe that we have been truly responsible as tourism operators since starting our business 22 years ago, almost 23. But what we've realized, I guess coming out of the pandemic, it's given us the opportunity to think and do things differently. And in this particular realm of responsibility, we feel that, I mean, in terms of our past, the bulk of our work has been, our impact work has been happening through the more community foundation. In looking at the impact that they've had in our local communities surrounding our properties, we felt that there was an opportunity, as I mentioned, coming out of the pandemic. One of our values is to always make things better. We have decided to ramp up our impact. We have decided to allocate a greater percentage of our funding towards it. And in putting money behind any process, we've had to bring a little bit more structure and discipline to it. So the other reason why we thought that this would be a super relevant webinar to bring you insights into how we do it and why we do it is because I would like to think that all of you, our partners, our guests, are very interested in being responsible tourism operators, responsible guests. We like to tread gently on this planet. We like to ensure that when it is our time to hand over the planet and our environments, our communities, our neighborhoods, our business over to the next generation, that we can leave it in either the same or if not better position than we were given it. So without further ado, I'm going to jump into the impact webinar for the More Family Collection. And the first question I'm going to be posing to my special guest, Alan, is what is the impact strategy?
The impact strategy defines how the More Family Collection handled its environmental, social and economic responsibilities. It was born out of a greater awareness to do more, give more and change more. It allows a broader reach across our impact, it allows a broader reach and impact across our people, our communities and our businesses.
Yeah. Alan, I know, I mean, this whole impact strategy, actually it's brand new, although we are. Oh, by the way, our venue today, just going back to the beginning, is the Johannesburg More Family Collection Support Office. We are live. We are sitting outside the front door of the office. This is open air. We have traffic going past. We have a little bit of construction happening on the other side of the road. So please bear with us in terms of the background noise that might happen, but hopefully the audio is strong enough for you to hear exactly what we are covering. So, Alan, just going back to what the Impact Fund strategy is about. So, this is also something new for us. It's actually only going to be launched on our website in the next, if not today, definitely tomorrow. And what I mean by noise. What I mean by new to us is that for the last 22 years, we have been delivering our impact through our family foundation, the More Community Foundation. But I'm repeating myself, I know. But as we came out of the pandemic, we decided to open up our views on the different risks that the business face, the different needs within our community, and we have increased our allocation of resources towards a greater impact. So as I was saying, we've been working at this for about 9 months, almost a year now. And I remember one of the words that we were debating in terms of understanding the language of impact was the difference between sustainability and impact. Is there a difference? What is the difference?
So I think as we continued on that journey, we realized that sustainability is one tier of impact. It's a much broader topic. The word impact captures the true essence of the commitment, and it encompasses a variety of factors from social, economic, and environmental factors, and it takes a holistic approach to make meaningful change and lasting change.
Okay, also I know that, as I've already alluded to, we are going to increase our allocation of resources towards this, but in increasing it, we also know that we are just a very small fish in a very big pond. So our impact needs to be focused, it needs to be defined, and it needs to be allocated in such a way where as we allocate resources towards it, we can measure it. But in measuring it, we certainly want to make a difference. We feel that if we spread ourselves too thin, we know that regrettably there are many needs and the list is very long, but we have tightened our focus to 4 specific pillars within our impact strategy. And I'm going to ask Alan to touch on those 4 pillars. It is broader than just community development, which, as I've spoken to already, is where our family foundation has been doing their work for the last 20 years. And it's been incredible in terms of what we've been able to achieve there. But we wanted to broaden that impact strategy. So, Alan, if you could take us through the 4 pillars that we as an organization, as a community of people, have felt is considerate of the needs in our society, in our community, in our business, and also addressing some of the business risks that our company and our hotels, our lodges, and our head office face. So the 4 pillars that we've identified, Alan.
Great. So as we changed the strategy, we realized it's quite an expansive scope, but we needed to capture the true essence of what we are hoping to achieve. And we identified key needs, but as we were identifying these, they shared quite similar themes, which led to 4 distinct pillars. And the 4 pillars that shape the Impact Fund strategy is health and well-being, education and training, resource sustainability, and investing in local communities. So those are the 4 pillars that shape the Impact Fund strategy.
Okay, so what I'm going to suggest we do is we spend, first of all, the webinar, I'm going to really try and keep it to 35 minutes because I'm conscious of everyone's time, and I appreciate everyone's attendance in this webinar. But I do want to drill a little bit into each one of these pillars. So let's start at number 1, health and well-being.
Health and well-being. So due to the cost of private medical care and insufficient and failing infrastructure of healthcare within the communities, especially where most of our team members are located, this has become quite a key focus for us. So the objective is that we would like to provide the best mechanism to support the well-being and health of our team members, and that rippling into their family and eventually into the communities.
So I know the wellness of our staff has been something we have been investing in already for even pre-pandemic. So there's and we've been working with Dr. Matt, who has been visiting our properties twice a year at least, and he has been seeing our staff members and identifying health risks before they become critical. And I know we've had incredible success there, but our learnings from that was, again, in wanting to increase the scope of our impact, we feel that looking after our staff members is one set of responsibility that we have. And obviously the healthier our staff members are, the better they will perform in work, the better they're able to look after our guests. And we're also able to reduce the inequality gap between those that can afford private healthcare and those that have to rely on the state healthcare. So that's definitely what Dr. Matt did. You allude to the fact that through this Impact Fund strategy, we are wanting to keep investing in the same service provider, Dr. Matt and his operation, but we're wanting to expand it to the staff members' families and possibly broader into their communities. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yes, I mean, firstly, key, we need to depend on specialists to achieve these objectives for us. I mean, our expertise lies in hospitality, and we take great comfort in partnering with these specialists to achieve to navigate these challenges jointly. Another long-term solution that we're looking at is consistent healthcare in the remote locations where our properties and our communities are located. And we're looking at a collaboration with Unjani clinics as well. They specialize in affordable and quality health care within the communities. They're well networked in those areas. So we're also seeing them as a key resource heading into the future.
Okay. I mean, I know Unjani, the story of Unjani clinics was actually we were introduced to them by our commercial bankers, First National Bank, and they've put their foundation, a portion of their foundation's money is being allocated towards them. And often what we're looking to do to ensure that the allocation of resources towards these service providers is backed up by a number of other entities. So by partnering with our commercial bank's contribution to Unjani clinics, we too are going to be dovetailing behind them and hopefully bringing these clinics into our remote areas. They do not exist in the areas where we operate at the moment. So definitely, I mean, that's something we're probably only going to be able to introduce that early in 2025, but that'll be a huge step in the right direction in terms of providing affordable, professional, high-quality healthcare in these local remote communities.
Absolutely.
Another thing, I mean, wellness, just as a footnote, wellness for us as a business has always been, I mean, personally, I have a real interest in health and wellness. Even to the point where, I mean, those of you who have recently stayed with us, we actually give each and every guest that checks in, we give them the Health Matrix effervescent immune boosting tablets. And that's just an accent of our commitment and theme of wellness, not only to ourselves as members of the More Family Collection business, but also to the guests that come into our care during their stay with us. So it's this whole theme of health and wellness. We do wellness days, we do yoga, even here in Johannesburg on the lawn in front of us. Every single Friday we do a physical activity for those people in the office. So we just believe that to get the best out of someone, they need to be healthy, and without health we're not able to reach our talent, we're not able to deliver our best. And that's why this investment, again, that's why it's taken us so long to develop the strategy, because every commitment we've made, we've looked at a business risk, we've looked at how the allocation of resource can actually really make a difference. And ultimately, if people are healthier, stronger, fitter, they're going to perform better in work. And if they perform better in work, the guest is going to have a better experience. And so that will go in a positive synergistic relationship with all players in the sort of ecosystem of wellness. The second pillar, Alan, education and training. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yes, so here we are committed to broader socioeconomic and skills development goals. We believe in empowering our workforce to foster positive and sustainable change within the communities through key education and training initiatives. We would like to equip them with the life skills to navigate many of the challenges that they're confronted with and overcome challenges associated with poverty specifically.
I mean, all I know is being an employer, I mean, we have approximately just north of 900 staff members within the collection. And I know that the people we employ, without skills, without education, we cannot employ them, we cannot bring them into the business, and they cannot then benefit by receiving, becoming part of the payroll, receiving something at the end of the day, getting all of the benefits about being employed as opposed to unemployed, personal confidence, pride in the communities where they come from, all of those kind of peripheral benefits, obviously in addition to the economic benefit of participating in the ecotourism industry. So for me, training is vital to enable people, to give them the opportunity to enter into the workforce. Tongai is one of our recent beneficiaries of the Impact Fund. Tell me a little bit about Tongai's story down in Cape Town.
Yes, so Tongai is the sommelier at Upper Union Restaurant. We've recently invested in sending him to the Graduate School of Business to complete the Business of Wine course. And that's just to bring the business acumen to his wine knowledge and further develop his skills, which in return will, enhance the wine program, enhance his skill, and overall enhance the company as well. His ability to guide and support the company and train the team below him as well.
Another facility that we've had around for a while, I think we're in about our 10th or if not longer year, is the Moore Field Guide College. So we identified this risk a whole long time ago, where it was so important to ensure that we had a constant stream of qualified, passionate, incredible guides coming into the business, because they deliver a very important part of our guest experience. So in setting up the college a decade ago or more, what I know the Impact Fund has been setting up is a bursary. And this bursary is applicable to individuals either within the organization who don't have the financial resource to pay the tuition to attend the college, or people who come from the local communities surrounding the reserves in which we operate. Tell me a little bit more about the Field Guide College that we operate.
Yeah, so we as a business, we've committed to sponsoring 4 of these in the upcoming year, and we hope to expand on this in the future. And it's specifically the Guide and Trails course that we'll be providing the opportunity to. And we'll provide them with all of the equipment and skills to come out as a successful candidate. They'll be handheld with a mentor at the end to see them through as they do their experiential training, and eventually be equipped to hopefully come into the collection as an employee from there.
I mean, Alan, I know that we've allocated sufficient funding for 4 previously disadvantaged individuals to be offered the bursary at the college. I know that 2 of our partners in the industry are also sponsoring 2 students to go through the college, which is an incredible success story as well. And for me, the story that I often hear in our incredible country is these kids are going to universities, they're getting degrees, they're finding the resources, they come out with a qualification, and the one thing they cannot do is still find a job. And that just breaks my heart, because that whole sacrifice, their own sacrifice, often the family is clubbed together to pay the tuition fee for them to go to, for them to come out and then not be able to find the job, feels that whole kind of positive story is broken. Now, the great thing about the guiding college, I mean, we have, I stand to be corrected, but I think 7 of our guides within our organization have come through this program. So that means that whole investment, the bursary investment, the time that they've made, that the passion they've committed to actually learning the skill, it's landed up them with a career, which from there on, it's in their hands. They've sort of broken that cycle of dependency. So it's the college is not only a training institution, but actually it's a life-changing institution. Absolutely. Because it enables people to get a job. And for me, that is a life-changing moment for someone who is unemployed, to go through a training process facility to then land up with a position in a business is just, for me, is truly inspiring. Resource sustainability.
Yeah, so this is a commitment to position our business for a more sustainable future. I mean, there are 2 key challenges that confront our business and South Africa in general. And the first one is the instability of the national grid. And we've also identified our business's dependence on dirty energy as a significant concern. And also the second one is the uncertainty of water supply from the state. So a key focus for us is looking for sustainable alternatives to transition this heading forward. Yeah.
I mean, we're going to have to change in the next webinar the stability of the national grid, because quite remarkably, South Africa, I don't want to jinx it, touch wood, don't say it, everyone around me saying don't say it. We have not had load shedding for like 60 days, which is just quite remarkable. But no, I mean, but the backstory on the national grid, and this was information that I learned about not too long ago, is that South Africa, I mean, we live in an incredible climate, outdoor living. We would like to think we are a healthy country in terms of our environment, but actually we are one of the worst pollutants, because our energy is supplied through burning coal. and that is one of the worst pollutants on the planet. So we feel our little bit in our little way by moving off the grid. Even though it is there at the moment, it may not be there into the future. And I suppose the benefit of the failed grid of the past, I'd like to think, is that there's been a huge push in South Africa towards renewable energies. We, in our own little way, are also going to be doing it. And the other thing that's important for all of you to know is that the fund is not there to supplement the investment that the business is making in these sustainable energies. It is there to bring expertise, to guide them, and to kind of get them to focus on the investment that they need to make. In this particular area as well, like in all of our different pillars, we have decided to work with specialists in this particular field. The partner that we've got with our solar renewable energy is a company called Grid Capital. They've been around. They also were introduced to us by a bank, because we felt leading into the bank, the one place where you're going to get reliable, conservative information is from our lenders. They identified Grid Capital as specialists in this field, so they are delivering our solar solution to our organization. And I would like to brag a bit that all of our lodges are on solar, not completely. We're actually making an upgraded investment at Marit Harbour, where about 70 to 80% of our energy at Marit Harbour is going to be now through renewable resource. And hopefully over the coming months and years, we'll be able to move all of our properties off the dirty power solution through the grid and onto renewable energies. And that'll be our contribution to this issue of global warming, which we all need to play a part in. Onto the final pillar, Alan, which is investing in local communities. Tell me a little bit about the need for education, health, safety, security, all of those impact projects that our Family Foundation, the More Community Foundation, have been delivering on and continue to make incredible impact. This is a commercial audience who's listening to us. These are our business partners. Tell me about the investment and the idea behind enterprise development, who we're partnering with, and why we are trying to invest in entrepreneurs in those local communities.
Yes, so I think first to highlight the partner. The partner is called Raise Corp. Their purpose is to support and scale entrepreneurs from previously disadvantaged backgrounds. They focus on enterprise and supplier development through targeted programs within the communities. The CEO there is Alan Reyes, and he is very much shares in the vision of, transitioning people's lives and uplifting communities, which very closely aligns to our Impact Fund vision. So they will be a key partner to achieve that for us.
And Alan, I think, again, being an entrepreneur myself, for me, to create a sustainable solution similar to our training, if we can train someone to get a job, to get a paycheck, they break that cycle of dependency. Mm-hmm. If we can, we've got a logistics office on the other side of the road here, and I'm embarrassed to admit 80% of our supplies that our lodges use come from Johannesburg, and that is just crazy. It's crazy in terms of the energy and consumption of material to get the product from Johannesburg to the properties. But actually, we should create an economy which is local to where we operate. So the enterprise development that is taking place in these communities, I know we are considering chicken farmers and small veggie farmers and seamstresses and thatch repairing work that's happening. These are all little tiny startup entrepreneurial businesses. Our objective, and we're going to be measuring this every single or twice a year, we're going to be doing measurement on the performance and how much of our spend is going away from the big companies in Johannesburg and going into the local communities. Because if you can imagine a small business in a remote rural community, if they start to partake in the economy of ecotourism, they're going to employ people, they're going to be investing in building more buildings, they're going to bring stability to their community, and that for me is a sustainable solution. It's the same principle of a person getting a job, same principle of an entrepreneurial business benefiting from starting to supply either a lodge or a hotel in a remote location. So that's the idea behind the strategy. We're in this for the long run. because we all know how difficult it is for a business to work. But if you don't start somewhere, you'll never get going. So we're doing a whole feasibility with Raise Corp. They are seasoned experts in starting entrepreneurial businesses in remote locations. We don't have the skills. It is not, as Alan alluded to, we are a hospitality business, but they are going to be identifying entrepreneurs. They're going to be looking through our procurement. What do we buy? And then they're going to be linking procurement to suppliers from those local areas. So hopefully they can build their businesses and get better and better at what they do. Excuse me. With every response, whenever there's money, there needs to be governance, controls, checks and balances, disciplines around it, especially when there's a broad contribution. Our guests, our partners, fundraising efforts, our own companies allocate a percentage of their profits to the fund, and we want to make sure that those funds are properly accounted for and properly allocated to the right projects. Tell me, Alan, who is in this committee that oversees the proper governance of the impact fund strategy?
Okay, so we set up a committee that comprises of Yopi, who's one of our operations managers, Sifiso, our CFO, yourself, and myself, who will take on the management of the impact fund. And as the funds come in, they come in through various sources. So you've got the diagram up on your screen. One of the sources is the impact levy, which the guest pays, donations from partners and suppliers, private donations from guests, and then corporate social responsibility investment, which is a percentage of each business donating towards this impact fund. And then it comes into the impact fund. There the committee sits with it. We look at how we're going to manage it. We've got stringent SLAs in place with our specific partners, which are quite transparent with specific metrics, and then we take on decisions and apportion the funds accordingly.
So another thing that's always been important to me is whenever I've made a donation to any cause, I've always wondered, like, how much of my money actually goes to the cause and how much money gets lost in delivering it to the cause. And it's important, again, if I'm asking that question, I'm sure you guys are also wanting to know. So the Impact Fund Committee, I know it's a big name, but it's 4 of us: Alan, myself, Sifiso is our finance guy, and Yopi, who heads up the operations for our group. We simply, it's not really our day job, but it's super important to what we do. We do not charge a levy. We do not take a percentage. We receive the funds. The funds go into a separate interest-earning accounts. And then, as Alan was alluding to, we will identify specific partners in each of those different areas, those pillars that we spoke to. There is a very stringent SLA, a service level agreement, which then has got a full disclosure on what percentage of money goes to them, because obviously they have the manpower, the woman power, the people power to deliver on the project. They have other resources, but ultimately we are non-conflicted because we are managing them and the impact that they are having on a particular project that we give to them. So that is our role as the Impact Fund Committee. We are overseeing that the funds that we do receive, that we hold, is kept separate from the business, and it is allocated towards our strategy. So and I know a question some of the audience will be wanting to ask: how do they get involved? How do guests get involved in? Because we know. Look, the one thing I do know as well is not everybody wants to be involved in this. It doesn't speak to everyone's kind of mandate in life, but those who do want to get involved, how can they get involved?
So there are a couple of ways that guests can get involved, and I think the first one is just by purely staying with us. Through staying with us, you're contributing to the impact fund by paying an impact levy. So that's the first way. Secondly, by partaking in our community tours. A lot of guests are interested in our investments, our schools, our communities, and they would like to partake in those tours. The great thing about doing those tours is that the tour cost, about 80% of the tour cost goes towards the community or towards the creche or the school. The third is to pack for a purpose. So if you log into the Pack for a Purpose website, it gives you insight to what's required at each of our communities. You can click on the location, click on the property, and it will identify what the needs are, and you can pack with those needs, bring it to the property, and we will get it to the communities for you. You can sponsor a guide at the Moorfield Guide College. You've spoken to this, it's highly impactful. It changes lives, not only the individual, but also their family, and it goes on to the community, the more and more that go through this program. And then lastly, the Nakavango Conservation Program in Vic Falls, which has got a volunteer tourism opportunity where you can partake in conservation and community initiatives while also getting to see the surrounds on the weekends.
Cool. I know it's a lot of information that's coming at you. Just so you know, as I mentioned, this is all going to be featured on our website in the next 48 hours, maybe Friday at worst, whatever, don't hold me to it. But it is going to go out there. All the information will be there. You know exactly how to reach me. You know how to reach Alan. It's Alan at Moore. It's Robert at Moore. You can reach out to us, find us more information, or find out more information through us if you have the interest and the need. Another important part before I move over to Q&A, communication. So it's always going back to whenever I've made a donation, I've always wanted to make sure that a high percentage of the donation goes to the actual cause. But I also want to get feedback. Like, how do I know that my $10 has gone to the cause and it's made the impact and I've got it back? So on the website, we're going to be feeding all of these project stories. There's going to be a constant stream of live, real content coming back on all the different projects, which will then be fed through our social media channels. So if a guest makes a smaller contribution to a particular project, they'll be able to track that project on our social media platforms. If they decide to make a bigger project, we've had guests who've donated classrooms. We've had students, as I mentioned, 2 of our students actually at the college at the moment have been sponsored by partners of ours. So we are able to do, the college itself has got a bursary program. They then write letters to the partners. They give them updates on their grades. I get my kids' grades tomorrow, which I'm quite nervous about, but the school sends those to me, and we've applied the same principle to the Field Guide College. So they will send the sponsor the upgraded grades from the college of the individual, and then they will continue to tell that story where they go do their practical. They'll set up a virtual communication between the student and the sponsor. So it's a very interactive, very real kind of association to the money that you're giving. It's not just sort of you make the donation either through the impact levy or any other form, and then you don't hear anything back from us. So I think it's very important. We recognize that we need to close that loop on communicating clearly, frequently, consistently back on all of the impact that we are making in our communities. And Alan, if you don't have anything further to add, I'm going to move to Q&A. Is that all right?
That's perfect.
Okay, so it is now 30 minutes up. My esteemed colleague has got some questions for me. Shouldn't take too long. I've got 3 questions. I've got Kate from London. Can you tell us more about the community tours? Alan, do you want to jump onto that?
Yeah, so the community tour is just a great opportunity to really see how we get actively involved and how we participate, and you get to get insight into that world as well. And you'll also have the opportunity to get involved if you'd like to. There's also great activities that you can partake in. You can, do reading with the kids. You can do cooking with the ladies in the kitchen. So it's just really, it's exciting, and it's really enriching experiences as well.
I think the one thing, and I know we've unpacked this this community tour product so many times and try to build it in a better and more meaningful way. The one thing we wanted to avoid is kind of a theatrical performance. We wanted to make it real. We wanted the guests to actually meet the teachers. We don't want our guests to disrupt the school. That's, of course, the priority is for the kids to be in school, not be disrupted by the visitors. But at the same time, we want our guests to get out of the vehicle, get into the veggie garden, prepare a meal with the ladies in the kitchen. So it's a very warm, friendly, hospitable, emotional experience. I actually was down at Lion Sands this weekend, and I went out with Kasatu to check on our community projects, and I must admit I left feeling actually rather guilty that it had been so long since I'd last been there. So it's an amazing experience. It really is not kind of depressing in any way, and people often, the benefit of it is people get to see the real impact that's taking place, and they then often go back to the lodge and they say, I want to make it $1,000 donation to that particular project, and then we facilitate that whole interaction. And that's where, for me, it's a real positive relationship between a guest going into an area, feeling a connection with the people, making a contribution which makes a difference, and us as the collection and this committee, we make sure that that whole donation and that whole cycle and that whole delivery actually takes place in a sustainable fashion. Measurability, success of impact. What does it look like to you?
I think that there's no true metric to that. Like it's about the long-lasting effect of our impact. I mean, we've got metrics in place, but I think by us seeing a growth in those metrics, more impact, more people sponsored in the college, more people supplying our business through the communities. If we see those metrics increase, then we know that we are making a change, and I think that's the ongoing goal for us.
Yeah, I mean, Alan, as a business, and you know this, that we only know if we're performing if we measure our performance and we get it back to us. So the committee, this band of 4 people, have a dashboard. Everything we're doing is measured. We get reports, and from those reports we determine whether we're making a success or not. I'm sure we won't win all the time, but at least we'll have the information back. We'll have the results back on our dashboard to determine which is the right direction for us to keep moving in. So it's not just sort of feel good, hand it over, never go back. We are very involved in measuring. And the other thing you mentioned, Alan, this is changing behavior, changing a landscape where the needs are so great. This is the long game. We're in this for the long game. This is what we do as a business. We are super committed to the communities from where 90% of our staff come from. So again, this creates this positive ecosystem of us investing back in the community general standards of living going upwards, which brings better people back into us, which delivers that positive guest experience, which allows us to keep investing back in that cycle. So that's in terms of what does impact look like. One thing is we know we've got to be patient. Mm-hmm. I'm not very patient, but in this environment I've had to learn patience. But my energy around bringing corporate disciplines and measurements into something that is often, sometimes people are flippant about, is not what we're going to do. If we're asking for money, if we're investing money, we want measurability and we want results, even though it may take a long time. Final question I've got is, and it's from John in New York, which is amazing. John, welcome. How does an agent get involved? How can they get more involved in what we do?
I think for an agent, there's many opportunities. Through that Pack for a Purpose initiative, they can inform the guests about it and they can bring those essential needs along. Encouraging guests to go on the community tours that we highlighted, and the one that we've spoken to today, sponsoring a guide and changing the life of a community member or a team member really has a powerful impact. So those are 3 key ways that agents can get involved. Yeah.
Cool. Alan, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Everyone, thank you very much. We have one more webinar, which is happening in November. It's going to be about the food and beverage experience. My special guest, my co-host for that webinar will be Amori Berger, who's our incredible, crazy, amazingly energetic, very talented executive chef at Upper Union. She's not only leading Upper Union, but she also is consulting to all the kitchens. She's introduced an exchange program between our kitchens and Cape Town and Upper Union. So super interesting. Food and beverage has become such an important part of our guest experience. She's amazing. She will not let you down. She will entertain you, and she will give you insight into the science of delivering incredible food and beverage experiences to your guests every single day in these incredible remote locations where we operate. So therefore I'm going to be signing off. Thank you for joining us from the most amazing, beautiful Johannesburg city, and appreciate your time. We hope you found it useful. Again, if you've got any questions, if you need any more information, reach out to us, email us. We've got it all on PDF ready to go. And then watch our website. By the end of the week, it'll be up live. That's where you'll be able to hear more about exactly what Alan and I have been talking about, on the website as a new page at www.more.co.za. Thank you very much. Cheers, everyone.